This year has been a weird year, and as I inch closer and closer to my exams, some of you guys have asked how I stay motivated for med school. So in today's video, I wanted to jump into 4 tips which have really helped me out this year. If you guys are new to the channel, my name is Alfie and I'm a 5th year med student studying in London. And with that out the way, let's jump into the video. So the first tip is setting clear boundaries. So at the start of this year, I was able to go back for placements, which was nice, but we were essentially put into bubbles, and on most days you were actually either by yourself or at most with one other person in your bubble. So a lot of this year felt quite isolating. All the teaching, all the lectures and tutorials got moved online. Because of this, even though I could go back for placement, it still was really hard to have clear boundaries for when I was at uni, when I was at home and I could chill, and when I could go out to see my friends, and when I could go out and do other things. And what I noticed when everything kind of mixes into one, it's really hard to stay focused and just stay on track with one thing. So for example, when I would wake up, I might get a text from my mom, my sister, or some of my friends, but I also would get a calendar reminder for the lectures I had that day. And I would also end up just usually spending most of my day sitting at my desk, and when I was done with work I would just chill by watching YouTube or anime. But I found because I could never really have that clear divide between med school and everything else, I couldn't really switch off. This ended up making me feel just really exhausted throughout the year because I couldn't switch off. I would be working and then sometimes my phone would just go off and I wouldn't know if that was a notification from my university, my friend, or some sort of meme from Instagram. On the flip side, when I was chilling, I couldn't properly switch off, so when I was watching anime I was also thinking about work. But because of the that's cute. But because of all these notifications, I couldn't properly switch off when I was chilling, because I might just get a text from my uni and I would just be thinking of work while I was chilling. It wasn't until I blocked out times to do specific tasks such as studying or working out or seeing friends or just chilling, and also putting my phone away so I wouldn't get all these notifications from all these different places, and making a conscious effort with all these different boundaries, that things started to get better.
The next tip that I have for staying motivated in med school is making sure that you set aside time to exercise and to move. In med school, we have the stereotype of having to learn a lot of content. There'll be days where I'm at the hospital from 9 to 5 and then I'll come back home and I'll feel the need to have to spend a couple of hours trying to study so that I won't get grilled for not knowing certain things by the consultant. In the past, when things got stressful, let's say when it came to exam time, one of the first things that I would just let go of is exercise, and then the second maybe would be my diet. But this year, exercise was one of the things which I wanted to stay consistent with, and it has definitely made me feel a lot more motivated when it comes to med school. I'm sure you guys have heard it loads of times before, but exercising does make you feel good. It helps to release chemicals in your brain and in your body known as endorphins, which is also known as your brain's feel-good hormones. Even if you've had a long day and you can't be fussed with maybe an hour at the gym or hour going for a run or whatever it is, you can try and find something which still gets you kind of moving around and away from your desk. So you can try and make it interactive. You can go outside and play something, and that's something which I've actually done recently, where now that things have kind of opened back up, I've finally been able to play basketball indoors. This is something which the old me would have gone, no, you're just wasting your time, you should just try and use that time to study, things like that. But in reality, it's actually the complete opposite. By having something to look forward to and by having something where you can kind of just blow off some steam, it really does help to refresh you and reset you to keep on studying. The next tip for staying motivated is setting more realistic goals. I think in the past, I would try and tell myself, okay, today I want to study this many hours, I want to write this many scripts, I want to see this many friends today, and I also want to go work out. At first, when you're younger, I feel like you think that you can just do everything. But I think with a little bit of age comes a little bit of wisdom. What's really helped me stay motivated at med school is being a bit more realistic with my goals, both in the short term for my day-to-day things, but also in the long term as well. So in the past with schedules, I would write down all these different things that I want to try and do, but I would never include time for breaks. I would never really include time for travel and things like that. And at the end of the day, it would just make me feel kind of miserable and frustrated because I never did all the things which I set out to do. So it was kind of like a recipe for disaster, because it would just throw me into the cycle of not doing everything which I want to do. So I'll put more pressure the next day to be like, I need to do this much to compensate for that. And it would go on, but you would never ever really hit those goals. In reality, the cycle just strips away any motivation you had in the first place. It wasn't until my clinical years that I was more forgiving, more thoughtful, and more realistic with the way I set my time. And now that I have a better grasp of what I can actually achieve in a day, and by having these realistic goals, it helps me to build momentum and build motivation as well. And so my final tip for staying motivated in med school is having the mindset to only compete with yourself. Coming into med school, I feel like a lot of us were used to doing quite well in school and doing all these different activities. And now being in med school, surrounded by all these bright people who are doing all these amazing things, it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself with everyone else. It takes a little bit of time and maturity to realize that everyone's just doing things at their own pace and that the only person that you need to be competing with is yourself. How I came to this was, I think back in first year, I would say things like, oh, okay, I want to be at the top of my med school, no matter how much studying it takes, no matter what it takes, I just want to get there. But this is a horrible mindset because it only leaves you feeling terrible if you're not spending all your time studying, if you're wasting your time and you're not throwing everything at getting that top grade. At the end of the day, it just wasn't really a healthy mindset to have. The less result oriented I was, the less stress I felt, the less pressure I also put on myself, the better I actually did. Ultimately, you do have a responsibility to keep on learning and to keep on getting better so you can provide the best care possible to your patients. But the battle for knowledge in this sense is just between you and yourself. As soon as you fall into the trap of comparing yourself to other people, it won't do you any good and it won't help you stay motivated with what you're trying to get. Anyways, with that final tip, that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope you guys found it useful, and if you did, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until then, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Bye-bye.